So welcome to Chimp on Cars. Today we've got a video on roundabouts. We're looking at lane discipline in particular on roundabouts today. We're going to break this into two halves effectively. First of all, we're going to be looking at keeping to the left lane, so predominantly turning left and following the road ahead at roundabouts. We're then going to move across to the right hand lane and look at how we use that, how we turn right and how we keep ourselves safe when using the right lane for following the road ahead as well, so stick around for that towards the end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already, and let's get into the videos. Okay, so here comes a nice basic straightforward roundabout. You can see the sign coming up. We're just going to follow the road ahead towards Medway Tunnel. It's the second exit from the roundabout. So the road's going to develop out here into two lanes, so I'm going to pick the left of the two lanes, looking for a gap. So because there were two lanes coming up to it, I just need to see two lanes on the roundabout, keep my position as if there was still two lanes there, indicate left to leave, and as we leave off it's actually two lanes leaving off as well. It's that black car that's just overtaken us. We could travel alongside each other there just by keeping to my lane. They kept to their lane. It works out fine. Now as you can see, we're turning right at the next roundabout. We've got traffic lights coming up to it. Makes judging the gap a bit easier, just go by the lights. So again, here we just need to keep to our lanes. We're going for Rainham and Sitterbull. You can see a big hatched out area on the right there. We're keeping out of that. So just keeping to our lanes. Just look at the road markings as we come around here. See the van in front doing it perfectly as well. Just following where our lane goes. So we've become the outside lane, and then I'm just going to signal left to leave. And you can see nice straightforward there. We just followed our lane markings and it put us in exactly the right place. And that's what we mean by lane discipline. We just need to keep our lane discipline, and then everyone knows where we're going. We don't cross anybody else's path by mistake. And we all nicely drive safely amongst each other. Okay then, so let's go and find a couple more roundabouts over here in Gillingham. So looking ahead then, we've got a roundabout coming up. Now all we're going to do is follow the road ahead of this roundabout. We're taking the second exit from it, following the road ahead. So one of the biggest frustrations that we come across as drivers is when the car alongside us doesn't stay in their lane. They don't have good lane discipline and they end up compromising our position. It's such a dangerous thing. You'd fail your driving test for it, but people after the test just get it wrong occasionally. So let's look at lane positioning here. So we're coming up to this one in the left hand lane, which is fine. You could use either lane to go ahead of this one. We're going to use the left hand lane. So because I've started in the left hand lane, I'm just going to find a gap and keep to the left hand lane. You see how this works here? There are actually some white lines there to help us, and just by keeping to my left hand lane there, if there was a car next to me, I wouldn't have compromised them, and hopefully if there was a car next to me, they would have stayed in their lane and not got in my way. So you see it a lot. There's a car sometimes slightly ahead of you and they're in a different lane to you, and they come into your lane and they go back into their lane. You don't exactly know where they're going. They don't indicate, they're not checking their mirrors, and it's just causing a level of danger, and that's what we need to avoid. So we're going to come up to another roundabout shortly and see that again from a slightly different angle. So the last roundabout had some nice white lines on it to help us stay in our lane. This one is going to have to make it up a little bit more for ourselves. Now we're going to be following the road ahead. It's a sign towards the M2 there. Now it's slightly off to the right, and again we could use either the left or the right hand lane for that on this occasion. And I'm going to use the left hand lane just to keep it similar to the last one. So let's first of all approach the roundabout, keep it to the left hand lane. So I'm looking for a gap, and I've got a clear gap already, which is nice. So I'm staying in the left hand lane. There's no white lines there to tell me where the left hand lane is, but I can judge the road. I can see how wide the road is, and I can just use my half of it. There were two lanes coming up to the roundabout, so I can judge there to be two lanes on the roundabout. So that's what we mean by lane discipline. So let's look at that one more time in a second, and we'll see that again. And just remind you, we've got a link in the top right of your screen there for short-term car insurance if you're learning to drive, or if you need some short-term insurance for whatever reason, or some specialist insurance, then the link in the top right there is also in the description. That will help you. Really good company for getting those things sorted. Getting good insurance is key. So again, we've got a roundabout coming up. So again, I'm going to follow the road ahead, keeping to the left-hand lane, and I'm going to take the road ahead as the second exit. And let's see. So we're going to slow down. We're going to judge a gap as we approach it. Okay, so nice clear gap. So again, no white lines there to help me. You can see how wide the road is. I'm just keeping to my half of the road. And then we've got 2 lanes leaving. So I started in the left lane, so I've left in the left lane, maintained the left lane all the way through the roundabout. Okay, so the previous 2 roundabouts, we've been following the road ahead, and we've been using the left-hand lane to do that. Now look at the road sign now on the left-hand side, a big white, black and white sign. Road markings in the road as well. So to go ahead at this one, we're going to need the right-hand lane. That left-hand lane is for left-hand turns only. So we've got plenty of time. We can change lanes if we need to. I'm in the right-hand lane, so I'm just going to come up to the roundabout. And again, lane discipline, just because I'm in a different lane, don't change anything. Still got lane discipline as my key thought. Now the guys on my left should all be disappearing off and only going left. So as we enter the roundabout, we'll see that in practice, hopefully. Oh, forget a gap. There's our gap, good. Okay, so the guys on our left, big lorry there, they're disappearing off. So I'm going to signal left to leave. And there we go. So there were some hatched out markings on the left. Just had to keep an eye on the lorry that was next to us, make sure he wasn't in the wrong lane. Okay, so we've got another roundabout here. And we've got a sign here suggesting that there's only 2 exits, one off to the left, one that's ahead, and it's saying there that the left hand lane is for left turns only, and again the right hand lane is the one we used to go ahead, so we're not going into B&Q, so we're going to use the right hand lane, and it's actually slightly off to the right, the road we're taking, so I'm going to leave the right indicator on because they are slightly over to the right there. And that's it, make sure everyone knows exactly where we're going, indicate to leave. Cool. So because the road I was taking was slightly off to the right, great idea to pop a right indicator on there. It might have looked like I was using the roundabout for a U-turn, but that's a risk I was prepared to take there. It wouldn't have caused any danger if anyone had have thought that. With this big roundabout coming up, it's called the Tesco roundabout. We're up in Gillingham, and we can see some nice clear markers here. I've got a video specifically for this roundabout. It's in the top right of your screen, and it's just for this particular roundabout. So if you've got a driving test over here, it's quite useful. So I'm going to actually change lanes. I'm going towards Rainham and Twiddle, so I want the very far right hand lane for that. Now I could have changed lanes a whole lot earlier, there were some signs, but there's just no traffic behind me today. So really important we get into the correct lane for this one. So those left 2 lanes were both for Gillingham, wasn't they, on the road signs. So those left 2 lanes are both going to disappear off down that first exit. And then the rest of us, whether we're going towards Rainham or to Twiddle, are all in this right hand lane. And then when we come up onto the roundabout, we then need to make a decision as to which lane we need to get into, and there's a sign over there to actually help us, remembering that all the guys on our left should have disappeared off, so we're not interfering with them, they're not interfering with us, but we will check our mirror to make sure that's the case. There we go, there's the green light. Okay, so everyone on our left's going to go, so now I need to decide, am I going to Rainham, am I going to Twiddle? I'm actually going to go to Rainham, so I'm going to keep to the right hand lane there. You can see we've got a choice of 2, and I just didn't need to change. I'm not changing lanes, I'm not checking mirrors, indicating anything like that. I'm just aiming for the lane that I want. And now I need to just watch my lane discipline as we come around here. See the lane markings just drawing me off to become the very outside lane. The people on our left going to Twiddle are all going off. We become the outside lane there, and the car in front did that as well. It's good. Car behind us got it a bit wrong, but you couldn't see that. And now we're perfectly positioned. We can now go off towards Rainham. So lane discipline, really important on a roundabout like this. It works like a spiral. We gradually work our way to the outside. And if we start off in the correct lane, we follow the lane markings, and we understand where we're going, then we should be absolutely fine. Keep an eye on our mirrors for people doing it wrong, and if we get it a little bit wrong, keep an eye on our mirrors so we can put ourselves right. And if we can't get ourselves back into the correct position, we're just going to have to go the wrong way, go whichever way we need to go safely, and then find a route back around to get back on track again. So we've got a roundabout coming up. I've got 2 lanes to choose from. I'm going to choose the right lane because I'm turning right at the roundabout. So this roundabout leads actually into a dual carriageway. So let's pop the right indicator on. We're going to go right 3rd exit and join a dual carriageway. So let me show you the correct lane positioning to do this. So the left lane should be for people turning left and going straight ahead, which is fine and normal. I'm going to keep to the right hand lane. As I come around here, I'm doing it particularly slow for you. I'm going to check the left mirror and signal left to leave. Should be no one next to us, which there's not. That means I can just come off into that left hand lane there. Okay, now I could come off into the right hand lane, and there are 2 reasons why I would do that. First of all, if there was a car alongside me on the roundabout, which, you know, there might well have been, somebody might have joined the roundabout alongside me, and obviously I'm not going to cut across if there's a car there. And the other reason I might have chosen to keep off in the right hand lane is if I was overtaking somebody. If I looked into this dual carriageway and I saw slower moving vehicles and I wanted to go past them, then I could have just maintained that right hand lane position rather than getting to the left and then move back to the right to simply overtake them. Okay, so let's come across here. So now we've got a roundabout ahead, and again we're dual carriageway to dual carriageway. Now I'm going to use the right hand lane here, so I'm going to go ahead at the roundabout. It's the second exit, so let me just show you how we can do that. So you've seen me use the left hand lane to do this. Now I'm going to use the right hand lane. So again I'm going to keep to the right lane. I'm just going to signal left to leave, and you see how they're just leaving in the right hand lane now. So I started in the right, stayed in the right, left in the right lane. So we can do that. If we've got dual carriageway into dual carriageway, we don't have to just use the left lane to go ahead at roundabouts. We can use both lanes. And it's up to us to maintain our lane position, lane discipline, and to do it safely. And as long as we can do that, then we're not a danger to ourselves or a danger to other people. Okay, so we've got some parked cars coming up here, so I'm just going to shift across. Rather than just straddle both lanes, I'm actually going to use the right hand lane properly, got across here safely, making sure no one was overtaking, and then it looks safe to come back, so I'm going to check the mirrors and come back to the left. Okay then, so we've got one more roundabout just coming up here. I'm going to use the right hand lane to turn right at this one. This one's got some lane markings on it to help us out. So let's get across to that right hand lane in good time. So we can see the roundabout coming up in the distance. So I'm going to turn right, so I'm going to use the right hand lane. So I've checked the mirrors, I've signalled, I've moved across safely, I've moved across in good time. If there's a bigger queue, maybe I'd have moved across sooner. So we're going to go right third exit. So let's get that steady approach in so I can make a fair judgment. That looks safe. Okay, looking for my lane markings. There we go. So we've got some nice white lines to help us get around here. Following it around. Should be no one next to me. I'm going to check the mirror anyway. Signal left to leave. And there we go. We've left by the correct lane into the third exit. Thank you for watching our video today. I hope you've enjoyed it, got something from it, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you have, and drop something into the comments. Let us know you've been watching. The link on your screen is for insurance, so you can get short-term insurance, you can get specialist insurance from this company. Check out the link, see what you think, and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next video.